What's going on, everybody? It's Rick Barrett, and the Barrett Breakdown is back. The show where we cut through the noise, drop the talking points, and have real conversations that actually matter. If you know me, or if this is your first time stopping by the Barrett Breakdown, I want you to know that I don't play it safe on this show. I'm here to ask questions most people avoid and to give my guests, more importantly, the space to have their ideas truly fleshed out. Whether it's politics, culture, faith, freedom, this show is about honest talk from real people who are not afraid to challenge whatever narrative they are deciding to challenge at that point. Tonight's guest is somebody you're definitely going to hear from. Christopher Laurence, host of GoodNight Everybody, and also a Catholic observer of popular culture. And tonight we're going to be discussing gaming, movies, MMA, and who knows what else. And by the end of this conversation, you can be thinking about all of these topics, hopefully a lot differently. Sit back, grab a drink, grab a smoke, grab a snack, because the Barrett Breakdown is starting now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Barrett Breakdown is beginning, and without further ado, let me bring on my guest, and I truly am honored to call him a good friend, the one and only Christopher Laurence. How are you, my friend?
I was laughing, but I muted my mic. I was laughing about the off-camera stuff that the audience doesn't know about. But
you notice, folks, the end of my intro is a little choppy because apparently I went off script twice, and it was awful.
No, it was good. They were all good. Anyway, thanks for having me, Rick. I'm always happy to talk to you, my good friend, and thanks for bringing me on again to speak about anything you'd like to speak about. And thanks for the great introduction, also.
Well, it's well deserved. And folks, we actually had a good hour and 45-minute talk a couple weeks ago, but Restream deleted it. So I was lucky enough to get Chris to come back on so we could have another conversation about all things. And if you've noticed the style of this show now, folks, this is not very structured, and I like it that way because I want these interviews to flow like water, just wherever they take us. And the great thing about having Chris on is we can talk about gaming, film, MMA, popular culture, and it's going to be a very seamless and well thought out conversation.
Well, let's not promise that.
Well,
the well thought out part on your end, sure. Let's not give people unrealistic expectations about me.
Oh, come on. The humility is good, but it is also I don't talk up guests too much. I'll usually say it's going to be a good talk. That's how if you know the conversations, if I'm not too big on, if I don't think the conversation is going to go too well, I'm going, it's going to be a good talk tonight.
Yeah, okay.
That's me also saying
it'll be something. Of all the interviews out there, this will be one of them.
This will be an interview. This will be in the queue. If you
you talked, I didn't know this because you didn't tell me, and now I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but you talked to Owen Schreier on here. Was that on? That was on your. Yeah. How was that?
It was interesting. It was big shout out to Magdalene. Magdalene set up that interview for me.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it stinks because she's like, he's got 30 minutes. So you got 30 minutes with him because he was doing this was before he left InfoWars. So I think he kind of knew he was leaving InfoWars because if you notice, he did a bunch of hits on a bunch of different podcast shows and was really kind of trying to get his name out there. And I had everything set up. And then he was, by the way, big shout out to Owen Schreier. He was really very professional, very cool to talk to. And I was very thankful for that. But my mic didn't work. The only mic that caught it was the camera mic. So I sounded like Johnny Amateur, like, oh, everybody walk up.
And I had that interview with Father Ripperger. I think I told you this. We did. I had Boss Rutten and Father Ripperger.
Yep.
So for people that don't know, Boss Rutten's a legendary UFC champion, one of the pioneers of mixed martial arts, and a very strong Catholic, a really good man. And now he does a lot of, aside from acting, which Smashing Machine in theaters, I think still in theaters now, starring Dwayne Johnson, co-starring.
It's on its last legs, but yeah, it's still there.
Okay, well, there's Oscar talk. But aside from doing acting, he does a lot of, I don't like the term motivational speaking, but he speaks a lot about real masculinity, true Catholic masculinity on his YouTube channel, his Instagram. He's a really great guy. But I had him on concurrently with Father Ripperger. Everybody knows Father Ripperger, world famous exorcist, and they're actually very good friends. And we've become friendly over the years too, the three of us. I had them both on. I was like, this is going to be a dynamite episode. This is going to just do gangbusters. It's going to be a lot of fun. It was so much fun, but I was not home. I had to be out of town, and we stayed at a family member's house. And he's like, oh yeah, I got an office. Use the office. You can record in, you can stream in there, record in there. I got my desk set up, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, great. Brought my good mic, at least this mic. So I was like, okay, everything should be fine. Now I'm not a professional, obviously. So I didn't realize, like, the room was small. I was like, oh, okay, this will be fine. The audio on my end was complete garbage. I sounded like I was underwater. Every comment, instead of being like, wow, great insight from Father Ripperger. Oh, I really like what Boss said there about being a man, was like, I can't understand you. And this audio is tough. My husband tried to listen and he had to stop. Like, these are literally all the comments. I'm like, oh man. So the thing tanked. So I sympathized. I say all that to say, yes, I understand the frustrations of uncontrollably, let's say, not perfect audio during the big show.
Oh, and of course, it's the most watched interview I have. So of course, it's the one. And credit to Owen, he was very, very professional, and it was good. It was a good thing, and I'm happy to see him leave InfoWars because he's very talented, and you and I had a very lengthy talk about the YouTube space, and both of us have been in this media for almost 10 years, dating back to the Crusade channel. I mean, 2027 will be 10 years. So we did it on Catholic radio, and then we've been in the YouTube space for a while. And it's just very interesting to see, and we'll have this conversation now, that I have a feeling within the next 18 months that with YouTube introducing their AI and the more corporatization of YouTube, that YouTube as we know it, I know people have been saying this for years, Chris, YouTube's ending. I think you're going to see a sharp decline in a lot of the independent sphere that we've enjoyed for, almost 15 years. And I think it's something that a lot of people aren't prepared for, because I think a lot of people, I made the joke that YouTube is essentially the male version of OF. Because, like, what does every guy do? Oh, I'm going to quit my job and start a pocket. Like, every woman's like, I'm going to stop pursuing being a vet and start an OF account and be a millionaire. every dude's like, I'm going to start a sports podcast and be the next Joe Rogan or whatever. And most of them are. And that independent, but it does speak to an entrepreneurial spirit. And I think that's going to come crashing down within the next 18 months. I really think YouTube's peaked, honestly, for this kind of content.
Well, YouTube has ended several times, right? We had the initial YouTube, super amateur. Everything was on there. The Wild West completely of the internet video space. Then we had what I would refer to as like the golden era, for me anyway. This is the era of like peak PewDiePie and Glove and Boots and like all this really good creative stuff, mostly done for the love, because there wasn't like giant money in it yet. And then we had the kind of post-creative commercial era, which we're kind of in the tail end of now, I guess I would say, right? Where it's all about chasing the algorithm for the dollars, for the advertisers. It's very formulaic from show to show. There's not much difference. There are at least 20 clones for every one semi-successful channel that are all following the same kind of standard. So it's kind of boring, and it's devolved into a lot of on the other end, just podcast on video, right? Stuff that doesn't necessarily need to be on YouTube, that could be listened to just as easily, but they do it in as long form talk shows, a lot of stand-up comics, the Rogan sphere on one side, and then I guess what's that guy that looks like he's got the face that looks like he's always smelling a fart? David Pakman.
Oh yeah, I was like, there's a couple. I mean, that's not helping.
Not helpful, but like, and all on the liberal side. So YouTube has died several times, or at least transmogrified into something different, and I would say less entertaining several times. But I think what you're referring to is going to be something more drastic, and I agree. I think we are headed for that. It's on a precipice right now where it's too inundated with the same and the commercial. And I think what's going on also is that the executives want to play both sides as much as possible. There was
Yeah.
a period of time when we had the Democrats in the White House and in Congress where they were only playing to the liberal side, right? Rampant censorship, shutting down the channels. Now, recently, they've come out and said, "Oh no, you can come back on and would say whatever you want," because they understand that the pendulum has swung partially the other way.
Hmm.
But you can't play both sides like that as widely as you would like to gain the most amount of revenue, because you can have advertisers pulling out on one side or the other, and that's what you don't want as a business. So the conservative, and I'm putting all these things in air quotes, the conservative side advertisers are not going to want to share space with the liberal side advertisers, and the liberal side we know will have no quarter with anything that seems remotely conservative. So I don't know how long that kind of tenuous stretching of the cord will last for YouTube, and I think that's going to be the real thing that breaks the camel's back. Something's got
So,
to change.
oh yeah, I think it's
And the ascendance of Rumble too. I mean, Fuentes' new ascendancy. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But I just want to make this last point. Fuentes'
No,
new ascendancy, among other people that have gravitated to Rumble, are making Rumble a much more viable platform also. Will it eclipse YouTube anytime soon? Probably not, but it's on a trajectory to do that. If there's going to be one platform out there with a monopoly on uncensored video, I mean, it looks like it's going to be Rumble, certainly not YouTube.
Rumble will end up being the only one left having this kind of content like ours. This interview we have right now, and a lot of the podcasters that we're talking about will migrate over to YouTube once AI kind of just washes over everything in this sphere and kind of drags everything out. I think it's very interesting that you made that point that there's like the news politics silo, which is like Tim Cass, the quartering, and then 100 other people doing those. Like those are the two top dogs in the dog. Those are the two leaderboards. And Tim outpaces the quartering like anything. Like Tim's the big dog in that space, no matter what he says. And then you've got,
isn't it?
yeah, I know. I mean, it is what it is, right? It speaks to what we said often, but whatever you think about Tim, he works hard at least. I mean, the guy's constantly doing shows and that, so his success is at least worth it. Where there are other people that are successful, and you're like, well, you don't work hard, and I don't find you interesting, so I don't know why people watch you. But that's
has Tucker eclipsed him yet on the YouTube space, or not quite?
Tucker's more on X than on Twitter. I mean, than on YouTube. He does
better on.
Yeah, he does. His stuff does very well. Plus, he has the Tucker Carlson network. He has his own like.
Does anyone subscribe to that though?
Yeah, but a lot of people do. Like he's not. He has his model where he doesn't have to worry about YouTube.
Oh no, yeah, it's true. He's covered in multiple areas. I'm surprised he's not on Rumble yet, right? I'm surprised he's not.
Might be. He might. I don't.
Maybe
somebody on his staff probably has like a backup channel or something just to kind of toss stuff on there, just to have a presence.
Yeah,
nothing probably crazy. I don't. I mean, I do for the stuff I put up on Rumble. It does fine. But it will be interesting that will be the only one that's got like free range humans on it. When everybody else is going to be, AI slop.
I just wonder about it and worry about it going the way of Gab, where it becomes just like a Q-tard mainline Protestant enclave of nonsense. It's not like
kind of is that now.
Yeah, well, Gab is definitely that. Is Rumble real? I don't spend a lot of time on Rumble.
Well, like the big guys and Crowder's the big dog on Rumble.
And, really? Is that true?
Yeah, he's an investor. He's part owner.
Good grief. Okay.
So he's the big dog there. Then you got a lot of other like some Dan Bongino acolytes are on there.
Oh, no.
And then like Russell Brand has a show on there. It's crazy. But
I don't know about that guy, man. I don't know.
I don't care. I'm fine. I'm very happy that Russell Brand has found faith and is turning his life around. I don't believe that he should have a show telling other people about it.
No, he should not be. And the church would condemn that.
Mm-hmm.
Like him teaching in that way. He's never got a shirt on anymore either. He does like 2 years of jiu-jitsu, and now he thinks he doesn't need to wear a shirt.
True. Yeah, one of those guys. Oh, I seem to have my shirt off, and it's just like, okay,
yeah. Like, but why do you have your shirt off? Like, like, why? Is your air conditioning broken? What's going on? I'm hot here. I don't have my shirt. I mean, I'm in Southeast Texas.
Yeah,
I'm keeping my shirt on for the good of the audience. I'm keeping my shirt on. I have been
My
working
wife,
out.
I
Doing
feel
better.
bad for my wife when I do shows up in the studio bedroom, because I have to turn the air conditioning on. I'm like, honey, I can't sit there. I start sweating when this thing's on. So get
Oh
under the
yeah.
covers and get warm because I got to put the AC on for the whole house.
Oh, does she run cold? She doesn't.
Oh, she's from El
Where are
Paso,
you?
bro. My wife's from El Paso, so she's a desert
Oh,
flower.
it's nothing to her. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
My
she,
wife's not that bad. Like she can deal with the heat a lot better than I can, but even she doesn't like it too hot. But me, I'm like, if it's above 68, I'm like, it's hot. It's too hot.
yeah,
And this is Thanksgiving week. It was like 80 something today. I know I talk about this all the time, but it really is a real bugbear for me. Like I can't stand this. It's crazy.
well, I have a sympathetic ear because I am not very happy with the fact that it is not cold. And my wife,
Yeah.
I love her. We were walking. We go to brunch after church. We were coming out of brunch on Sunday, and she's
Mhm.
like, because it was like 69 degrees. She's like, "Is this like it is in Rhode Island?" And I'm like, "Honey, no, it's 40 degrees in
It's
Rhode Island."
40. Yeah, exactly. Because my
She
friends
goes,
like
"How
I
can it
see
be
videos.
40?" I'm like, "Honey, it's the Northeast." It's
There are all these videos I see on because I follow like a lot of Long Island accounts on Instagram and stuff. Like, and they're like, "Oh, the leaves are falling in a chilling zone." I was like, "You son of a bitch!" Like, it's like it's not. Oh, sorry, but like it's not. It's not here. That's 85, and there are no. Everything's still green.
yeah,
It's. Oh man, it's rough. It's just
yep,
and I don't think about it too much unless a particular event is coming up. Like I'm acutely aware of it being Thanksgiving, so now it has sunk in how unbearably hot it is for that season.
yeah,
Because otherwise, you're just like, oh, it's just more summer. Like I guess summer's still happening, but then
yeah,
when you're setting the clock back and the people are roasting their turkeys, and you're like, no, it should not be 88 degrees right now. This is weird. So
yeah. Nope, not. I mean, I'm happy because I think for me where I am on Thursday, the high is going to be 64, and I'm actually lucky enough to have a
oh,
fireplace in my house, like a real one.
oh, nice,
Uh, so we're gonna kick the fireplace. We're gonna because the low will be the 40, so we're just gonna have the fireplace on all day, and
nice,
I like that a lot.
very
Uh,
nice.
so
I love a fireplace. Yeah,
well,
I
that's
had
one
one
of the
growing
reasons.
up.
Yeah, same here. Every house in the Northeast has a fireplace. Some
Yeah,
have two,
I missed that. I missed that.
depending on. Also this year, my wife discovered. Did you know that you can get a turkey from Popeyes?
I have heard of this. Yeah.
I have one.
Okay.
I actually did buy the turkey from Popeyes. I went and picked it up today. It's sitting in my fridge.
Oh,
Takes 72 hours to defrost. So
yeah. I watched the video. Somebody tried it. I can't remember who it was, but it was literally, I think yesterday I saw a short online of somebody trying the Popeyes turkey. That's how I learned that they had it.
yep.
Yeah, not bad. So they season it. Do they season it up? I guess like they're.
Yeah, they cook it, season it, and flash freeze it essentially. And so
Oh,
what you do
that's
is
probably good.
so you just defrost it, throw it in the oven for like at 350 for like 2 hours. And there you go.
I went through a period where I was eating way too much Popeyes. Like,
Yeah.
way too
For
much.
me,
That
I mean,
sandwich was like so. I was just
the
getting that
remember the
the
chicken sandwich
spicy
war?
sandwich.
The chicken
So
sandwich
good.
war, man. That was
Huh?
awful. The chicken sandwich war when they came out with chicken sandwich
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
people were like fighting for them.
You know what? I tried the KFC one. It was pretty good.
Yep.
But the
Yeah.
Popeye spicy one was the best. Like there's no question.
I'm a little too northeastern. I don't do really spicy food.
Oh, I
Like,
love spicy stuff. I
I'm a,
love spicy everything.
I
Yeah.
find I feel bad for my wife because I'm like, nah, I just no.
Oh man, I love it.
But
Everything spicy. I got this really good you know about Pepper X? It's like the
dude, I just
spiciest
told you I don't
pepper.
like spicy food. How would I know about like
Oh,
super?
I don't know.
How would I know about the?
Because like hot ones is a thing. So
Oh, I don't watch hot ones.
Oh, okay. Well,
Not even when they put Sydney Sweeney on, I won't watch it. So it's
I won't say anything. But I watch it when someone like I watch the Bill Murray one and the Conan O'Brien, people that I would like generally
yeah,
interested in because I'm a comedy nerd and
yeah,
so I'll watch those. But or somebody that's actually interesting, like I think John Bernthal's an interesting guy. So when he was on, I watched that. But yeah, so Pepper X is like the spiciest. I don't know if it's been overtaken, but it was rated the spiciest pepper in the world
okay,
on the Scoville scale. I think like 3 million Scoville units. So I got some of the hot sauces from the guy that he's called Smoke and Ed Curry. That's his real name. His
okay,
last name is Curry, ironically. And he crossbreeds all these peppers. And Pepper X is the newer, spiciest rated one in the world. And I got some of the sauces, and it's so good. It's really good. But yeah, it's hot. It's really hot. And but I like that. But I don't like heat just for the sake of heat. Like it's got to have flavor.
Mm.
So the thing about his sauces is like they're not just spicy; they're really, really tasty. Like if you watch Hot Ones, they increase the
Yeah, I do know the concept. I do
right.
know the concept. Like I've seen
But there's
the
one
progression
sauce
videos.
called there's one they try to make them answer questions while they're after they take a bite of increasingly hot sauces. But there's one sauce called the Bomb Beyond Insanity. That's what it's called. And
Hmm.
everybody hates that one because it tastes like garbage, but it's one of the spiciest ones. But it's not the spiciest. So people hit that's like the wall a lot of people hit, like, oh, it gets spicier after that, but the flavor is still good. So it's just
Okay,
interesting to see like people's reactions and psychologically who like Alton Brown went on and just stone faced the whole thing. That guy loves
really?
spicy. Yeah. He just was like, oh, this is tasty. Hmm. And the host was like, Alton, you're like a maniac. He's like, yeah, no, this is good. But that
Yeah,
guy's been eating everything for forever. Plus, he's from the South. He's from Georgia.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
the hot stuff is going on there already. But we ate Indian food the other day, and I was saying what I like about Indian food is I like Indian food. But what I
I,
like about the spiciness is like, for like white people hot sauces, right? You go to the grocery store and you get the bottle of hot sauce and it says like, oh, jalapeno or, Scotch bonnet or ghost pepper and, vinegar. But Indians just have like wild, like peppers nobody knows about. They don't even have names. It's just like, oh, just this pepper is spicy. And they'll put it in there. So you can get like crazy heat from stuff that like no one knows about. It's like, some guy out in the field is just picking a pepper and he bites it like, oh, very hot, and they'll throw it all in there. You never know what you're going to get. Because if you ask them, like, what are the peppers? And it's like, oh, pepper, it's good pepper. Yeah, but what kind of pepper is it? Oh, it's this Indian spicy pepper. I'm like, okay, whatever. Forget it. But they're like unregistered on the Scoville scale.
unregistered spice,
They're
unregistered peppers.
unregistered, like they're lethally deadly to people that are not schooled in the art of spicy food eating. But yeah, I say all that to say, I like spicy food. I think it's good.
Yeah, well, we'll see. This one's supposed to be Cajun spiced, and so we'll
It
see
won't be
how.
hot. It won't be
Yeah,
hot.
it'll be fine. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it'll be okay.
actually the concept of putting it on a turkey is actually very intriguing, and I like that because most time like Thanksgiving turkeys are bland and they're not
Yeah,
very good.
no,
So if this one can
true.
spice it up a little, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
I
And
don't even like Thanksgiving. I don't like most of the food, to be honest
no,
with you.
no,
I do like turkey in general. Like
yeah.
generally speaking, I do. I even there are times I even prefer it to the chicken.
Mhm.
But yeah, usually the way it's prepared on Thanksgiving by a lot of people, it's bland, and I
It's
don't like
dry.
it
A lot of times it's dry. Most
dry. Yeah,
people, oh, dry turkey is the worst.
and I hate stuffing or dressing, as they call it down here. They call it dressing.
My dad used to make a really good stuffing back when he was alive during Thanksgiving. So because of
Oh,
my
okay.
father, I'm partial to stuffing.
What the one my mom made was supposedly very good because like my friends all loved it, but I was like, oh, I hate that. I don't know. There's one of the spices that maybe I don't know which one it is, but I don't know, soggy breadcrumbs and rosemary. I don't know that, but
Yeah.
whatever. I hate any kind of anything from the sweet potato family. I hate it. So
Oh.
yams and I hate all that. Don't like marshmallows. What else do people eat on Thanksgiving? Maybe macaroni and cheese. Now that's a case by case.
Hmm.
If people
Oh,
know how to
sometimes
make
and
it.
there's always a green, like a asparagus or something like that.
No, I
That
hate
put out
asparagus. Yeah,
that.
see, I don't like Thanksgiving is not for me, man. Like the Italian style Thanksgiving is. Then we're talking. You just
Mm,
getting a baked pasta.
yeah,
Maybe some turkey on the side.
yeah.
But I'm in Southeast Texas. I'm the only Italian person within, I don't know, 500 miles of here.
Sure.
So it's like a food desert.
It is. The problem is the farther south you go, the worse the food gets.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Houston, the
yeah.
food is terrible, and the food is terrible in Houston.
So bad.
Uh, most in East Texas. The problem is I don't know where you are, and you don't have to say anything. But the
I'm
closer
the
you get
Gulf
to
Coast.
Louisiana, the food gets more Louisiana like. And I'm
That's
sorry,
good.
folks, but Louisiana food is mostly terrible.
Oh, I like it. I like Cajun food.
I mean I know I get the irony that I'm about to have a Cajun turkey here, folks, but still,
Yeah.
like I think a lot of places overhype their food. A lot
Oh,
of
sure.
places overhype their food, and I think Louisiana food. And if you're listening right now and you think I'm full of it, you can put in a comment down below and tell me why I'm wrong. But I think most Louisiana food is overhyped,
Oh
and
man.
there's a lot of false pride coming out of Louisiana when it comes to their food.
Oh, I
So
like it. See, I like boudin. I like
nope,
gator.
nope.
I like
Boudin
like
was
all
so
duck.
overrated. Like when I went to the couple of conferences down for the Crusade, like look, Jerry did a Boudin, Boudin, Boudin. I was like, it's a meatball, bro. What are you talking
No,
about?
it's not a meatball.
Yeah,
It's not a meatball. It's sausage or something with rice. It's good. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's good. What else did I eat? I can't even think of now what else is Louisiana food, but I know I like it, and I like
and
it because it's.
let me make the entire audience. Crawfish are cockroach of the sea.
Oh, I
That's
agree with you. No, 100. You're
crawfish
completely
is the
right.
cockroach of the
Oh,
sea. And
I
anybody that
already
talks about
thought they were
crawfish,
gross.
we don't have ourselves a crawfish boil. No,
Oh, no,
you
no,
good. You
that
can
I
have
don't
it. I ain't having
understand.
that.
No,
No.
you're that I'm completely with you. I do not understand that. And especially I already thought they were gross. And then when I saw where they live, they're like giant wet anthills on the and people's lawns. I was like, what the hell is this? And my wife was like, that's a crawfish mound. And I'm like, oh, that's where they come from? That's gross. I thought
Yeah.
they at least lived in the water, you know? No, they're nasty. So no, that I'm with you. That's disgusting. I don't understand that.
No, I
But the
can't.
boudin's good, the gator is good, the duck is good.
Okay, I'll take that back. The gator actually is pretty good.
Yeah,
The
it's
gator, I
good.
will say gator is good.
Yeah.
I will
I
give
can't
them
think of
that.
what else they eat, but that stuff is good.
I
That stuff
just
is really good.
also, thanks. And the crazy thing is Thanksgiving has been washed out too between Halloween and Christmas, right? More
Yeah,
people get pumped up for Halloween than they really do for Thanksgiving now.
I don't
Like
get it.
people like Thanksgiving because it's a day off where they can just be slothful and eat as much as they
Yeah,
breakfast and
which is
sit
a
and watch.
sin, by the way, people.
Yeah, but Thanksgiving maybe is well within the Catholic. There are feast days, so it's. I mean, we
Oh,
do have
yeah, for
feast
sure.
days and
That's
stuff
true.
like that. But it is an American feast day. But like most people don't actually care about Thanksgiving as what it's supposed to be. It's just like, all right,
No.
let's all go to mother-in-law's house so we can fight at the beginning of the day, and then have the turkey, and then the guys will go watch football, and the women will all
Yeah,
yell at each other in the other room, and they talk about it's gonna be a great time.
yeah.
And it's
No,
so it's
I
just my
hate
way.
football too.
I don't care.
So Thanksgiving's got nothing for me. It's got nothing. The
We
only
don't.
sports I like are people think I'm crazy when I say this because they're like, what do those two have to do with each other? And I'm like, nothing. But the only two sports I like are mixed martial arts and tennis.
I've tried to get into mixed martial arts. The only sport right now that I am faithfully following is NASCAR.
NASCAR. Yeah.
Yep.
I got to get you to teach me more about that because I could see myself being interested in that. But
Yeah,
I
I
don't
would
know
love
about
to.
that.
I like motorsports in general. I don't mind F1. I don't mind IndyCar. I like motorsports in general, but like NASCAR, like I got my little Carl Edwards up there, my 99. But like my wife and I, we don't watch football on Thanksgiving. We will watch
Well, that's good.
Kingdom of Heaven,
But
Gladiator.
isn't that I just read because I was interested in that. I just read that it's highly anti-Catholic.
It is,
That the
except
Baldwin scenes are good, but everything around that
it's a
is
Ridley Scott
garbage.
movie. So Ridley Scott hates
Yeah,
Catholics.
yeah.
So but in writing an anti-Catholic movie, he writes one of the greatest Catholic characters ever.
It's the
So
Baldwin stuff, right?
it's the Baldwin scenes,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, and I'll ruffle some feathers here. It's kind of like Doc Holliday's performance in Tombstone.
Oh, is it
Tombstone
that
by
good?
itself is a terrible film,
Oh,
but
come on.
if Val Kilmer is not in Tombstone, it does not have the reputation it would have today.
I mean, you're not wrong,
I know I'm not wrong. I know I'm not wrong on that.
but I don't like to. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to admit it. But yeah, you're not
Listen,
wrong.
like Sam Elliott's fine, but he's not. I like Bill Pullman. God rest
He's
his soul.
barely in it.
Bill Paxton. Is it Bill
Yeah,
Paxton? Bill
it's one
Paxton.
of
God
them.
rest his soul. He's in it.
Yeah,
Like even Russell, even Kurt Russell. Love Kurt Russell most
love
stuff.
Kurt Russell. That guy's
And
awesome.
you know the fact that he essentially directed that movie
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I
because the
talked to
director
somebody
got
about
thrown
this.
off. So I give him a lot of credit for starring and shadow directing the film.
Yeah,
Like that whole film is brought up because of Val Kilmer, and I think in the
for sure.
same way, Kingdom of Heaven is. It's elevated. It's a trash movie, but with Baldwin stuff, it's a below average film.
Okay.
So
Now, is
we'll
that the
watch
one that
Kingdom of
has?
Heaven.
Is that the one with Legolas?
Yeah,
Okay, I thought
that's
so.
okay because Legolas, everybody just is like, you're an idiot, and so it's like, all
Yeah,
right, it works.
whatever.
We'll
Yeah.
do that. We'll watch Gladiator as our second movie, and then we'll finish with the seminal classic Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So we do movie marathons on holidays in my house. So
Yeah.
that's how we handle it. But no, we don't do football. We don't. My
What made you
brother-in-law
pick
loves
those?
football, and that's fine. But I just don't.
What made you pick those for Thanksgiving?
So my wife and we talked about my wife and I've been blessed to go to Rome a couple times. So we watched Gladiator because of that. And
Okay.
then she was like, "Are there any other movies like Gladiator?" And I said, "Well, there's a couple." And I was like, "Well, there's Kingdom of Heaven." Because Ridley Scott directed that one too. So she watched that and she thought, because of the scenes with Baldwin and everything like that, she thought it was pretty entertaining. And then we watched, and then she was like, "What about I haven't seen Robin Hood in a while," so we watched that, and so it kind
Yeah.
of just like just kind of how it came together with those films. So I'm
Yeah.
like, that's great. I would rather just sit back and watch those all day than do anything else. So
Yeah.
my
Why not? For
yeah,
sure.
it's
I
yeah.
like. I haven't watched it in so long, but I remember. I don't remember much about Men in Tights, Robin Hood Men in Tights,
My
except for
wife
the.
loves that movie.
I only love the Dom DeLuise scene because I love Dom DeLuise. I think that's when he's doing like the Godfather knockoff. I think that's one of the funniest scenes in cinema. Like I love that scene.
Takes
I
the
try to
cotton balls
just
out of his mouth.
yeah, exactly. I went to the dentist. He put cotton in my mouth. But I love. He's like because the sheriff's like, your friend doesn't say much. He said, my friend doesn't say anything because my enemy cut out his tongue. I was like, oh, why did he do that? Because he went to him like this.
And he's just standing in the back like,
Yeah, exactly. And then he's got the little lizard. Oh man, that scene is just perfect. But
back out your
Dom
tongue.
DeLuise,
Yep. Yep. He
he's
voiced the
always
lizard.
funny. He was the best. I love Dom, and very good Catholic too. Apparently, from what I've
Yeah.
learned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is funny with Mel Gibson, with Mel Brooks in that.
yeah,
It's actually interesting because when you look at Mel Brooks's career, how he was so restrained in Young Frankenstein,
yeah,
and how he progressively, Gene Wilder had a very specific vision for Young Frankenstein. He actually
yeah,
told
yeah.
Mel, "Don't be in the film and don't put it in color." And without somebody to like restrain Brooks, he just became more bombastic and more. He put himself in more roles, and
Well, that
that
was all Gene
eventually led
Wilder.
to Dracula, The Dead and Loving It, which was
Oh,
so bad
so
that
bad.
he just stopped doing
Yeah.
films. So
No, Young Frankenstein was all Wilder. They used to fight on the set a lot. And even Wilder admitted that
yeah,
about those kind of issues of restraining and reining it in a little bit. And that's why that's such. Gene Wilder was great,
yeah.
generally speaking. And
For at
that's
least
amazing.
film wise, and that he was a genius within the art of filmmaking.
Right? Yeah,
So,
I don't know much about him as a person. Pretty private, I think.
yeah, which I actually give him credit for. I'll
I
give him
prefer
more
that.
credit for that. So I
Yeah,
don't care
because
what
now
it's
always Hollywood people.
it's interesting that and he's kind of tailed off too. Now he's getting a little older, but Denzel Washington used to be really big on telling like younger
Yeah,
actors, don't go on social media, because if you're on social media Monday through Thursday, why are they going to go see you on Friday?
yeah,
So and that was actually a very good point, because why would you, if you know everything about these people, it's pretty tough to actually
yeah.
get immersed in these types of films. And the film
Well,
industry as it is just
I tend to I have more patience for the ones that don't do that. The ones that like you don't know where they are politically. I'd rather not know where someone stands politically than know how horrible they are. Like I'm not aware of. Now I don't pay a ton of attention to the stuff. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not aware of like Ryan Gosling coming out and saying a bunch of political stuff at any point. Um,
it
definitely Keanu does not do that at all.
no.
But it's few and far between the people that I can name that have that kind of stance of, well, at least I'll be quiet.
Gosling has made like tiny things about, like, when he was doing the Barbie movie,
Barbie, yeah,
he was doing I think he was doing the company lineup. Yeah, it's a feminism movie, blah 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 blah. I think he was just kind of being a good sport to go through it. I don't
yeah.
know. I do know one time he was at a Comic-Con, because he's very aware of internet culture, and he looked at somebody, he's like, "You're literally me," and that was a pretty big. So he's aware of that, and then of
That's
course,
funny. Yeah,
who doesn't love Keanu? I mean, the guy
yeah,
can't, the
exactly.
guy can't he's not a thespian by any means, but he
No.
he he loves films, and he respects his audience enough to just shut up.
Yeah. It's
So,
too bad he was forced into doing. I'm assuming forced into doing that last Matrix movie.
here's the crazy thing about a guy like him. This is how good of a dude he is. Um, oh, there was a movie he did a long time ago with oh, who's the guy who voiced Ultron, and he was in that movie, that TV show at NBC, The Blacklist. Uh,
Oh,
you know the
uh,
guy, the main guy in those things.
I can't think
Uh,
of his name. I know what you're talking about.
but he there was a movie he was the bad guy in, and it was because his buddy asked him to be in it, and he was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll help you out." But then the film got bought by Warner Brothers, retooled, and
James
he was like,
Spader.
"I don't want to be in this film anymore," but he already signed the contract, so he did it.
Hmm.
So, and then there was another film he did recently that was awful, and it was because his buddy was a director and asked him to be in it. So
Hmm.
he'll do crappy movies
Yeah.
if it's somebody that's his buddy. He'll be like, "Hey, can you do this movie?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And so sometimes you'll get like like Warner Brothers probably asked him, "Hey, can you do this for us?" And he's like, "Sure, whatever, man. Yeah,
Mm.
cool." So he's the kind of guy that doesn't care. At
Yeah.
least from what I've seen, folks, he doesn't
Yeah.
care about doing the same roles over and over again. He doesn't care about
No.
being typecast. If somebody asks him to do work, he's just like, "Sure." I don't know why you want me to do it, but cool.
One of the
So,
last movies I saw in a theater, because I haven't been to the theater in a long time, was the third Bill and Ted movie.
oh, I saw that at home. I didn't see that. I
Yeah.
actually didn't get out to see that one. That
That
was
was pretty
fine.
good. Yeah, I liked it.
For
But I
you
saw it,
know,
a lot of the reasons for Keanu. That's why I saw it. And because I figured there wouldn't be anything like terribly objectionable in it, like so many movies these days.
mm,
I try to avoid anything that was. I mean, this is before I had my daughter, but even then, I don't want to see. Like I was talking to a friend who's a really good kid, and he was like, "Yeah, I love Game of Thrones," and I was like, oh, "Man." And you don't know what to say because you're like, all right, I don't want to be like moralistic grandpa, but I kind of just say like, oh no, I can't watch stuff like that. It's all the content.
yeah, yeah,
But even from a like metaphysical standpoint, like first of all, the writing is terrible. George R. R. Martin's an idiot, and and obviously spiritually a mess. And the worldview of that universe is so bleak because nothing is rewarded except duplicity and murder and plus there's rampant, sorry folks, incest and everything else on that show from the jump, from the get-go.
yeah,
And the only objectively moral character is killed off in like the second episode.
yeah, yeah,
And what that is Martin asserting the fact that objective morality is not real. I mean, in his perspective, obviously we know it very much is, but he asserts that worldview right away. And if you have any discernment for this kind of stuff, you understand immediately that, okay, the tone of the show is that there's no such thing as objective morality, and ends justify the means, and only those who are willing to lie, cheat, sneak, and kill are going to get ahead. And that's what you get. And what complete hack also, by the way. He can't even finish his own books. And why should he? I mean, he's made so much money from. That's why I distrust people like who's the conservative guy? Jack Posobiec.
yeah.
His whole identity was based around like
He was a Game of Thrones message
live
board
tweeting
guy.
Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm like, if that's your world, if you find that worldview commendable, there's something wrong.
yeah.
I'm not gonna
That
follow
was
it.
the highest rated show among conservatives while it was on.
Yeah,
It was the highest rated show for conservative. That
yeah.
was their favorite show was Game of Thrones.
And look at the state of conservatism now, mainstream conservatism. Even Fuentes likes Game of Thrones. I mean, but at least he's a kid,
You and I, we talked about this on the episode that didn't air about the
Yeah,
fact
a
that
little bit.
he didn't like Lord of the Rings compared to Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
and the fact is that when Lord of the Rings was the cultural zeitgeist, he wasn't born, so he
No.
wasn't around for, and unfortunately, he grew up where Game of Thrones was.
And
So I
everything
don't even,
surrounding it.
yeah, so I don't even blame him for thinking that
No.
because it's like asking somebody of our age, like, hey, what do you think about It's a Wonderful Life or something like that? And you'd be like, oh, it's one of those. I mean, I personally, it's one of my top 5 movies of all time, but
Me too. I
the
can't
average
watch it.
person will be like, oh, it's just an old black and white fuddy-duddy movie or whatever the case may be. So,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't
Yeah.
appeal to modern audiences.
It's true. It's the complete saturation of the culture because, like I said, the kid I'm talking about, like he's one of the best. He's very moral. He has a really good head on his shoulders, and but he just loves Game of Thrones because he grew up where that was it. That was like the Star Wars of their generation.
Yeah.
And at least Star Wars, for all its fault, it has a somewhat defensible moral core. No, I'm talking about the original trilogy, not
Yeah. That's the only one. That's the only one that's acknowledged on this show.
Okay, good. Yeah, I don't understand this new. People are really defending the prequels now, but only because in light of the sequel trilogy, they look good.
Yeah.
But when you just compare them to the originals, it's just, and I think that Lucas is largely an idiot. And the
Well,
fact that
all
he
of his
was,
ideas from that were stolen from things like John Carter of Mars and other
yeah,
stuff like that.
exactly.
He didn't have an original idea.
He had surprisingly little to do with the original trilogy. If you really look into it, surprisingly little. He had the kind of the outline of an idea, and then was smart enough at least to hire other people to execute the actual films.
Yeah.
Because if you if you look at when he takes direct control, look at the mess you get. You get the prequels and you get the special editions. And he must have known that what he did, the tinkering he did, was garbage because by the fact that you're not allowed to possess the unaltered versions anymore. I think he became jealous of his own creation. That was like that's a line from Patrice O'Neill, God rest his soul, did a roast of Charlie Sheen, and he was talking about what's the name of the guy that created Family Guy, Seth
Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane. So Patrice said, I like Seth. The problem with Seth is it's too much Seth. He's like, it's like he got jealous of his own creation. And I think that's all. I mean, Family Guy is garbage, but there's good psychological insight in there. It's true. And I think the same thing can be said of George Lucas. It's like when Star Wars got bigger than him, because you can tell he named everything after himself too, like LucasArts and Lucasfilm. And so when Star Wars got bigger than Lucas, I think he became a little jealous. And then when the opportunity arose for him to go back in there and alter and say, now they'll see the art that is Lucas, the mind of Lucas. And I was like, what is this garbage? What did you do? Why did you do this, you fool?
Yeah.
But I think it was a lot of ego and hubris and not so much artistic vision on the part of Lucas. But I hate the fact that you can't get the unaltered trilogy anymore, not by normal means. Because the butchering, I mean, even if he had just altered the Han Solo scene, that would have been enough to ruin the whole tone, because it changes Han's character completely.
Yeah.
Completely changes his character.
Yep.
So add in all the other garbage, the CGI creatures that didn't need to be there, and everything else he did, and then the prequels on top of that. My goodness, Jar Jar is enough of an affront to make me never want to have anything to do with. And now people are defending him too. Oh, Jar Jar's not so bad. I'm like, really? I waited 9 hours online to get tickets for that stupid movie to be afflicted with Jar Jar. He was that bad. I don't care what you say. Like these rose-colored glasses of looking backwards. No. Well, but
it's interesting that we are in such a desert of creativity that we're looking back on films from 2010, from 2007 to 2010, in 2000, even in 2012. You're like, man, those films were really good. When they're pretty much average to maybe a little below average, they're just at least stories with a little bit of heart and a little bit of intention behind them. The prequels are terrible, but there's still a moral story. There's still a story behind like fall, power, blah blah blah, all those kinds of things. Now it's just, I was talking to one of my other guests, that it'll be the interview from last week, John Slaughter. He just wrote a book called The Crimson Veil. He's a convert, and a convert to Catholicism. And he wrote a noir style detective film where he used Catholic themes of redemption and all these other kinds of things in there. And it's just, and we got it to the point where, you used to have the hero's journey, but then in 2010, 2011, you can correct me on this, everything became the anti-hero. The hero was disappeared. There's no
late
such
90s.
hero.
Really started late 90s. With the comic books. But you're absolutely right. It hit its peak around the 2010s in film. Yeah.
And once you have 10 plus years of, and we got a little bit of a respite, and of all places, the Marvel movie,
Marvel,
like Captain America, his 3 film. That's why he was one of the more popular guys in that universe.
Yeah.
Because he was the moral center, and everybody really appreciated that whole thing. But everything else, every other film, you think about like the Taken films and all these, everybody's an anti-hero. And when you've had 10 plus years of being anti-heroes, it's like, I'm just tired of this, man. There's no one anti-hero is fine. An anti-hero every once in a while is fine. It's a good contrast to your heroes and stuff like that. But when everybody is, it's just boring. Just
very boring.
Just garbage.
Yeah.
So
I remember, ironically, the first chink in the armor for me in seeing how morally skewed Ben Shapiro was when he fundamentally misunderstood Captain America in public. That was the first time when I said, "Oh, there's something wrong with this guy." This is when the movies came out, and he was talking about like adherence to government authority and blah blah blah. And the thing about Captain America is he's loyal to the government no matter what. Well, that's not true. He's loyal to the idea of America, and Civil War plays this out completely, both in the comics and the film. But Shapiro just did not understand that and used it as an analogy for like, strict adherence to the government and blah blah blah.
Well, that's just his worldview. I mean,
that's exactly. That's when I first started to see it. Was in that instance of all places. His analysis of Civil War, Captain America movie was completely off. But the anti-hero thing is, I find it boring. I think gray morality in general is boring, aside from the fact that it's deceptive and it skews the imagination in the completely wrong direction. So you get a lot of the syncretism and moral relativism that paved the way for Harry Potter in a lot of ways, because I was talking to Father Ripperger about this, and he agrees. The real danger of Harry Potter is not, and I know you and I have spoken about this too, it's not this, like, leave aside the spells, right? Whether they're real or not, whether they can, we've talked a little bit about this even today before we went on air. But the real danger of Harry Potter is the moral relativism. It's the ends justify the means mentality that is embodied in the film and only grows exponentially greater as they go on. That's the real danger. And that's only a natural progression from the anti-hero trope and the gray morality that arose in, like you said, the early 2000s reached its peak. The fact that people defend Harry Potter as some kind of Christian allegory is also completely dubious, because recently, and I think I've mentioned this to you too, I'm sorry if I repeated myself in any of these interviews.
No, go ahead.
Rowling came out and admitted on X, and I have the screenshot somewhere, that she was not a Christian at the time of writing the books. So that defense mechanism completely goes out the window also. You can no longer say, well, Rowling wrote it as because I remember specifically Norm Macdonald, of all people, on that show. Was it Last Comic Standing? That's the show they used to have where they have right. So stand-ups are going. Well, there was a season of Last Comic Standing. For those
I've seen this clip, but go ahead.
Right, yeah. Last Comic Standing was a show where you had people that were stand-up comics, and they were attempting to get on the big stage, blow up their career, and they had a reality show called Last Comic Standing. And Last Comic Standing, you went on, and before a panel of professional comedy judges, and on one season it was Norm Macdonald, it was Roseanne Barr, and it was the one from In Living Color, Damon Wayans was on. And the premise is the comics go on every week. They do a set, and then they're evaluated by and I think the audience voted too. I don't know. But I mean, comedy by popular opinion is a terrible idea. But anyway, you were evaluated by the comedian panel. And one week, a openly homosexual, snarky, snotty little comic did an anti-Bible joke using Harry Potter as the punchline. Like, oh, well, I read Harry Potter, verse 12, whatever.
Yeah.
And Norm, to his credit, and this is not a dig at Norm in any way, because he didn't know. He had a very surface level understanding of Christianity. Mm-hmm. But he attacked the guy, and he said, well, I think that joke is lazy. He's like, some people said that, like Roseanne said that you were brave. I don't think it's brave. I think it was a safe joke, and it was lazy, and I didn't like it. And if you're going to use the Bible, you should at least know what you're talking about. So far, so good. Great.
Yeah.
Go Norm, right? He said, I'm a Christian. He said, and I know that J.K. Rowling was a Christian also when she wrote Harry Potter. And she has famously said, if you know the story of the Bible, that you can very easily guess the ending of the books. So at the time, I was like, yeah, go Norm, up until that point. Because I knew that the books were problematic. But now I have concrete evidence that not only the book's problematic, but it is not true that J.K. Rowling wrote them as a Christian allegory, because she was not a Christian at the time of the writing of the books. Now, at the same time, and Father Ripperger said this also, good for her for taking up the battle against this transgender nonsense to the extent that she does. The problem is, and I didn't bring this up to Father Ripper. I would have loved to have had his thoughts on this, but I forgot. The problem is if you're coming from a place of no objective morality, I don't know if Rowling is still espousing
She
Christianity at
is.
this point. Okay, well then I
That's
don't need to
the
say this.
one thing that she's just. I think at this point, it's almost a point of pride for her to do it
Yeah,
because she has so much money and she just kind of loves seeing these people get mad. Because like, I'm going to burn
yeah,
your book. She's like, you already bought it, so I don't care.
yeah, I
Like,
saw that.
it's almost
Yeah,
like a troll for her at this point.
right.
Than anything else for her. So
But I don't know. Okay. So generally speaking, if she's claiming to be a Christian, it's one thing. But if not, then you can't fully attack these ideals without objective morality. How do you say transgenderism is bad from any kind of secular perspective? You can't. So I hope she has embraced Christianity truly. But if so, she should probably get that Baphomet tattoo removed. She has the money to do it. So
might be a
we'll
good idea.
might be a good idea, right? We'll see. But I do commend her for that. For all the damage that the books did, though, I don't know if this is enough to make up for it. I mean, that's between her and God. But I'm
Yeah.
glad that at least someone with such a prominent voice is speaking up from the the Hollywood. I know she's not Hollywood, but from the Hollywood side of things, because usually that's where you get the inundation of yay trannies.
Mhm. It, I always I give and I for Norm to do all everything up until the part of the Christian one, that was just kind of like Norm's grasp of popular culture at that time because I was
Yeah, he
been
didn't know. Like he didn't know
so
about, the
the other
depths of
part.
Christianity and Rowling's
So
perspective and whether or not, like she had said she was a Christian at the time. So he
yeah,
took her at her word. He had no reason not to. So I commend him completely. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a slight against Norm in the least.
no,
But it just showed how far that defense had pervaded into the culture for people that were willing to defend her. That
mhm,
that would be the go-to argument
yeah,
for anyone that was intellectually honest, at least, because a lot of people are they'll just like reflexively, emotionally react if someone says that Harry Potter's bad. No, it's good, and you're an idiot. But to get an actual like intellectually honest argument from that direction was rare.
yeah.
So I was glad to see that, but it was not a slight against him. It showed the limits of maybe his understanding of such things. That's all.
No, I completely agree on that. It's just also no, there's nothing else I can add to that, but I'm losing my point. So I'm not gonna try and fish this hook out because the fish is already gone. But the fish is swimming downstream. That point's long dead. But it's also interesting that when you think about even the realm of that joke, how it's just easy, and the last 15 years have been dry. Now, of course, there's been a slight resurgence with Kill Tony and Shane Gillis and a couple other guys that are
Mhm.
they're not even anti-woke, they're more of what you would call just normal. Like, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not, because comedy went through a 10, 12 years dry spell where it was just
Oh
awful.
man, it
It
was
was
just Amy Schumer everywhere.
yeah, it was just Amy Schumer and attacking, like like those lazy jokes of attacking Christianity and all these other
Yeah,
kinds of things. And
yeah,
you know, it's just good to see that even though they may not be fantastic and they may not be these culture warriors, they're at least just normal in that response. So it's
yeah,
at least good to see that kind of coming back into some kind of equilibrium in that regard, because it's a culture that cannot laugh at itself and a culture that cannot actually embrace true comedic what is it critiques
mhm,
is a dying culture, which
yeah.
the US culture is a dying culture anyway, so it doesn't really matter in that regard. You could
I still
say
don't find like too many things that are produced now actually funny. Like I'm constantly looking to the past. I mean, I think Matan is funny. Um, he's just such a unique kind of character. What that kid does. His podcast is pretty funny, but he's not a stand up comic. That's exclusively what he does. Is that like podcast where he asks weird questions. Um, I would like to like Sam Hyde's comedy, but I don't.
mhm,
Uh, he's too beholden to Tim Heidecker, who is a real liberal Looney Tune. I mean, Sam acknowledges that, but he thinks he's
yeah,
like a genius funny. Okay, there were parts of Awesome Show that were funny, but generally a lot of it was annoying. I mean, let's be serious. Steve Brul's an amazing character, but that's down a lot to what's his face that played him.
yeah,
Um, so I can't really get into like the Sam Hyde kind of, like, uh Zoomer, and maybe it's just my age, but like the just total, like, caricature of, like, Looney Tunes. I mean, Sam acknowledges that, but he thinks he's like a genius funny. Okay, there were parts of Awesome Show that were funny, but generally a lot of it was annoying. I mean, let's be serious. Steve Brul's an amazing character, but that's down a lot to what's his face that played him. So I can't really get into like the Sam Hyde kind of, like, Zoomer, and maybe it's just my age, but like the just total Zoomer chaos of like what he does.
Well, like you mentioned that. I mean, after, and there's no offense to Gen Z. I'm not trying to slight it. I think you guys grew up in a sterile culture, which didn't
Yeah.
allow you guys to have the creativity to actually get into jokes and things like that. I just don't think they have an idea of what humor is,
No.
because they all grew up on The Office, so they all think it's like,
Yeah.
hey, joke, and they're like waiting for a laugh track, or they're waiting for the awkwardness to be the joke, and that can't be it every single time.
No.
And so they just don't. And you can rip me apart. That's fine if you think I'm an idiot, and that's not because I don't like you guys. I'm a big advocate for Gen Z. I think you guys are getting a raw deal. You got a
Oh
raw
yeah.
deal politically. You got a raw deal culturally. You got a raw deal economically.
100%.
And it's just and we're seeing that, and you guys are struggling in with a sterile culture. You think about it. You guys don't have a distinct fashion sense. You don't have a distinct music scene. You don't have a distinct anything, because it was deprived. They were deprived of these things. And
Yeah.
so culturally, pop culture across the board, everything's kind of just stuck with remakes in the film industry. Like, they're remaking Moana. Moana came out 4 years ago. Now there's a live action
I
version.
know. It's
And,
terrible.
and when you saw the trailer, it's like everything here is animated except two people. So I don't even know how it's a real live action movie. And so film and books don't even exist
Literature.
anymore, because
Yeah.
AI will write books for you. And anybody like John Slaughter, the guy who wrote the Crimson Veil, is like, I wrote it, I published it on Amazon Books. So
Yeah.
unless I tell you I wrote a book, nobody knows about it, because it
No.
doesn't have, all popular books now are like female adult fiction,
It's
which is
all
gross.
DEI prioritized. You
Yeah.
can't get anything published if you're a white man
Nope.
by
Or even
mainstream
a
means.
legit story. It's got
Yeah,
to
no, you
follow
can't.
these specific things.
It's
And that
impossible.
even goes. Hmm?
It's impossible to get anything. Never mind something that's morally upright or wrestles with actual ideas. As a novel, it has to push an agenda. It has to either be written by a DEI person, or it has to push those ideas. There's a book that came out now that it's like number 5 in Amazon's top selling novels of the year, and the whole premise is just pushing the idea of Achilles being gay. It's a retelling of because there's the other thing that, like, and this is, we talked about this a long time ago. I remember when we were talking about Tolkien, and because there was a movement coming out to push the idea that a lot of Tolkien's male characters were gay, and that's because men now don't understand the idea of love and friendship,
Mm-hmm.
a true understanding of, of Christian love and fellowship and friendship. And so if two men have a strong bond, they must be gay,
Of
and that's
course.
extended now to Achilles. And I can't remember the name of his childhood friend that he grew up with, but
Uh,
now they weren't just very good friends. Now, of course, they're gay, and this novel is just all about like how gay Achilles was. And that's like number 5. I think last time I checked them, like I said, the top 100 books on Amazon. But if you look at the top 100 books on Amazon, 97 of them are of some similar agenda. And of course, the writing is abysmal, but people don't have a perspective because they're not reading. They're not reading the classics. They're not reading even like well-formed secular writers like Cormac McCarthy, whose prose is beautiful and who wrestles with real moral ideas, but always has a consistent understanding of good and evil, right? Even if good doesn't win and things aren't wrapped up with a nice bow. I mean, like No Country for Old Men, clearly the good guys do not, spoiler alert, clearly the good guys don't win, but no one could tell me that there is not a clear portrayal of good and evil in that book and in that movie. But all these books now, they succumb to the same thing that you were talking about, Rick, which is this gray morality, these and it's gotten worse than the anti-hero because there's no hero.
yeah.
There's no objective good in any of these books. Everybody's choices are treated as if they're viable, right? No matter the moral currency that they trade in. And it drags the art down. It
Yeah.
really does. People that succumb to this, their intellect and their vision is so clouded and muddied that they can't even produce compelling pieces of fiction in the first place. And that kind of started with Harry Potter too, because her writing is awful. I don't care. It's awful. And so when you're not striving for a higher good to aim towards truth and beauty, you're gonna get crap. I mean, that's just the way it is. Like, Martin doesn't write well. Do people think J.R. Martin's books, I mean, George R. R. Martin's books are written well? I sure hope not. But again, it's like you said too, if they grew up in an era where they have nothing to compare it to, what are they reading in school right now? I can't even imagine. But I'm sure it's not Dante.
No. Well, there was also that. in the 2010s, that movement to purge the classics.
Yes.
When you don't grow up on those classics, you have no bedrock. I mean,
That's
think
right.
of somebody like Chesterton. He
Oh yeah.
argued that fairy tales were absolutely important for children
So
because they
important.
introduced the idea of a monster or a dragon, not to scare them, but to say, hey, if you're brave enough, you can defeat it. You
Hmm.
can, if you have the good moral foundation and you have a belief in God and you have the centering, you can defeat any monster. And now there's like, what are kids growing up reading books on that? No, they're not reading about that. They're reading about like, oh well, if I wear high heels one day, then I can be a girl. Like that's all they can, and that's
Yeah.
like that's what they aspire to be. And so their
Yeah.
imaginations are had their you know they've grown up with access to all this technology and all these things, and all it's done is to just suck imagination completely out of them.
Well, I'll tell you, Rick, as a parent, it's of a young child. I can't tell you how difficult it is and was to find the unadulterated, uncensored, unaltered versions of Grimm's fairy tales, Hans Christian Andersen's tale, all those classic. It's very hard because a lot of these books, even that say that they're faithful editions, they've altered stuff in there. If you get your hands on the actual stuff, and I have a list of and they're harder to get. You have to go to eBay a lot of the times.
Yeah.
If you look at them side by side, because I had made the mistake of just buying one of a copy of Grimm's Fairy Tales. It was a beautiful hardcover, looked like a lovely edition, and it said like the original tales. But that doesn't mean anything, turns out, because it was completely altered. Like all the good morals were taken out. Some subtle things were twisted, even to be anti-Catholic. Believe it or not, I'm
Hmm.
surprised.
Mhm.
Because when I got my hands on the original editions and compared them side by side, the differences were numerous. So it's hard to even find the real stuff, even if you're willing to give it to your kids. And I suggest you do. I mean, people out there, parents out there, do not be afraid of what you might consider in modern times to be harshness in these fairy tales. It's important. The church has always said that these are these are incredibly good morality plays in mini format for children. They're one of the best things that children can read if you're getting the real things, if you're getting the real Grimm's fairy tales, if you're getting the real Hans Christian Andersen stuff. It's very good. Don't be afraid if someone's a witch's head gets chopped off. Good, that's
Yeah.
good. Read these things to your obviously age appropriate, but you can start them pretty young on the real stuff. I mean, these kids were reading it and having it read to them or told to them at a very young age, and that's why we had one of the reasons why we had a much more moral society. Children understood like stealing is bad, obey your parents, witches aren't good. Like all this stuff, like power for its own sake is evil, greed is evil. These are all things that are contained in these books, and in a fun way. I love these fairies. A lot of the George MacDonald stuff too, Princess and the Goblin, and these other classic books that were a great influence on Tolkien. Don't give your kids this modern garbage. I mean, all this like saccharine and like oversaturated color, and dragons are good guys, and I have a pet dragon, and my friend the troll, all the stupid stuff. Like it's ridiculous. Trolls are evil. Like that's it.
Mhm.
Like trolls are evil. They're not good. You're not gonna have a friend that's a troll. You should not be riding around on a dragon, right? Like just reject anything like that straight out. The dragon historically was always a representative of Satan. That has not changed. So these are the things you need to avoid with your kids. A lot of people don't like to hear stuff like that because they think the dragons are made up. That's a different argument. But you're forming their imaginations a certain way from a young age. It will affect them throughout their life. At the best case scenario, if you feed them all that garbage, is that they're going to have to self-correct at some point along the way, and if they don't, they're just going to ride that through line straight into hell. Sorry to say.
No, it's true. And if you notice, you have movies like How to Train Your Dragon, all these other
Yeah.
kinds of things they're pets. Like they're
Hmm.
really pets. And then you have this glorification of these type of animals, and this, I always call it the Disneyfication
It
of
is. That's
animals
exactly
in
it.
general, that has led to this crisis of grown adults who just their pets are the most. And listen, I have my dog, I love my dog, I think they're great, and dogs are fantastic animals. Cats are evil, but that's a different point. And cats are the devil's animal, but that's
Mm.
fine. But there's an over, and Father Ripperger actually was on Timcast a couple weeks ago on a
That's right.
culture war episode, and the reason why is because it's the lesser good. He argued that people gravitate towards the animals because it's the lesser good, because they've been fed nothing but a steady stream of, look at how great pets are, and pets are this and pets are that, and there are all these other kinds of things instead of the glorification of the family and the glorification of fatherhood and motherhood, and those types of things. And you can see that direct correlation now in the birth rate crisis that we have in the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, one of the things, I think this was from that Timcast episode that they were talking. Tim made a rare good point where he was talking about somebody that did a man on the street kind of interview, and they were saying, "Oh, there's all these puppies, these little puppies, and they're going to be put down unless we raise funds. Should we undertake efforts to save all these little puppies?" And of course, absolutely, and I'll donate and I'll sign the petition. Okay, and we've also got this one, these babies, these human babies, they're going to be murdered. And oh no, I don't. Oh, what, you want to save the puppies, but you don't save the human babies? Yeah, I don't want to, because they've been brain rotted. It's been made a political issue rather than a moral issue, and people need to get out of those bubbles too. I really hate these like right wing, left wing, conservative, liberal distinctions because they're meaningless. It's a false dichotomy, especially if you're a Catholic, right? Because you're going to take a little from column A and a little from column B if you're a Catholic, and you're going to reject a whole lot of both columns if you're a Catholic. So I don't like this idea of. I was just reading a book on chivalry that was talking about how often the church has condemned war. That there are very, very specific criteria under which anyone in the clergy, the Pope, the hierarchy, the moralists, the theologians would have endorsed a war, right? They would occasionally, reluctantly admit that a war may be necessary. But even then, they weren't endorsing go to war, right? Now we have a conservative party that loves going to war. And we have a lot of these Christians that don't understand their history that are rah, go for any of these wars. And whether or not they're justified on a surface level, on a secular level, they're not, by the way.
No.
Morally, this should trouble people's hearts. It shouldn't be like, okay, even if I think we're going and fighting against an evil regime, I shouldn't be so happy about it. I should still be troubled. People are going to die, right?
Yeah.
But we've completely lost that because we're so indebted to like a choose a team mentality. And once you've chosen your team, you can't criticize your team. We're seeing that a lot now with the meltdowns of Mark Levin, right? Anytime anybody says anything critical of, I mean, he's just the exemplary figure.
He's the most bombastic at this point.
Right. He's gone completely boomer tard on this. And so we see that they don't care. And that's demonic. Cheering on the death of children, no matter what side you're on, is demonic. I don't care. Even if you have a completely ridiculous misunderstanding of what Israel is, and I don't want to get into this on your show necessarily because the algorithm being what it is, but you don't cheer on the murder of innocents, no matter what. You're not happy about it. If you think it's absolutely necessary as a side effect of a justified war, okay, you may come to terms with it to some extent, but to cheer about it is very disordered. And I have no hope for a society that's doing that. I certainly have no hope for a political party that is party to that. So I think people need to, the first step is rejecting these conservative and liberal labels and this party adherence and letting something new rise from the ashes of it that is actually Christian.
Yeah, Catholics don't have a party. I mean, they've kind of been forced into the right for the longest time because of the abortion issue.
Yeah.
Which now the GOP doesn't even back.
Numbers are up. The numbers are up.
Now, I mean, Trump signed the executive order pretty much making IVF more affordable and more covered under health insurance plans, which nobody anywhere said anything negative about. I'm like, this is the worst thing that could have ever. This is worse than Roe v. Wade. And people are like, I already thought about it. I'm like, you have no idea how many babies are killed in IVF versus abortion. And it's just now you've mainstreamed it. And when it comes to the subject of conflict, when I wrote that little guidebook, I studied just war extensively. And one of the tenets is, listen, go to war only to stop a threat, and that's it. Don't use superior firepower. Don't use, only repel with what you need to, which is necessary to
Yeah,
end any
proportionality is a
potential
big thing.
threat. After that, it's not just, which is why, every August, Catholics fight each other when it's like, no, the atomic bomb was not just war theory, guys. You
No,
tactically nuked 2 towns with a power that nobody else on the planet had. So that's not, well, if we went in or whatever. But the whole this, and that's really it. World War II is just, it is the mantra of this union of states. Like, we can
yeah,
do it again. We can go, go into these countries and just blow everything up, and blah 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 blah. And that's kind of the ethos of the American. If we can't solve it with fighting, then it's not really worth solving in the first place.
right. Well, they're all these things are psyops,
Oh, yeah.
and Sean Ryan is actually doing a whole series on psyops right now, which is, I don't know how it's gonna. He's got it behind a paywall, but I don't blame him because there's no way that YouTube's just gonna put it up. But one of my favorite shows on YouTube is called The Y Files, and he did a special with, it was a tie-in with Sean Ryan about psyops, and people should really watch. I think it's last week's episode of The Y Files. For anyone that has not looked into this, it's a really good primer on what things were actually verifiably psyops in our history. And some people need to get their minds blown by this because a lot of the stuff you probably hold as bedrock truth regarding the formation of this country and our ethos is a psyop. And I'm not a big fan of. I don't want to say a big fan of America. I try to have I try to uphold the Catholic ideal of patriotism, right? So I like the idea of this country, but I'm not a fan of the founders, the founding documents, the revolution. I'm not a fan of any revolution because I think all revolutions are the spirit of the devil. So the
Well, they all
industrial.
trace their. I mean, if you look at it, they all really trace themselves back to the French.
Well, the French Revolution, I would argue, would not have occurred without the American Revolution.
Oh, it wouldn't have,
So
because we bankrupt the French to pay for the American.
yeah, so the industrial, the Protestant, the Russian, the French, and the American. When we have the discussion, people will acknowledge those first few, but then if you try to group in the American, whoa, that was a well, why? How has that worked out? I don't think so. So I mean, and we've become completely morally bankrupt in this country, and we export that to the rest of the world. I don't think that's a good. I think a lot of countries have their faults. People point to the way that England has devolved culturally, has no more identity. Well, whose fault is that? It's not entirely the English's fault. I mean, first of all, the first brick removed from that was the abolition of a true monarchy, right? That's always the first thing that falls before cultural rot sets in. Is you get rid of a monarchical authority, because even a bad king is better than a half decent president. And I've talked to some years ago to Charles Colomb about a lot of this, and he said if you really understand it, United States government has way more power than any king ever had, and exercises it without your input. Kings were held to standards. Revolt was a very real possibility in these systems. The lower classes relied on the upper classes in the feudal system, and vice versa. It was a symbiotic, mutually symbiotic relationship. The kings and the dukes and the barons and the feudal lords were incentivized to take care of their serfs, and the serfs were incentivized to take care of their lords. They gained protection and everything else from them. We have a government that has absolute or near absolute power that can do you, because Charles Colomb said, do you remember voting for legalization of abortion? Oh, do you remember voting for the big vote on gay marriage? Do you remember that for the country? Nope. Yeah, because you didn't, because nobody voted on it. They just decided unilaterally that we're going to impose these things on you.
Yep.
And not only that, we're going to tax you, so you have to pay for it. No king ever did that, and it's true. So I'm not a fan of this system. I think a republic is a bad idea. But I get a lot of grief for that. Okay, I understand, but at the same time, I don't think the counter argument holds any water. So,
well, republics work at small scale. Like, really, like, take my home state of Rhode Island. If it was ordered correctly, a republic could technically work there because it's small enough that you could have representation and you could actually directly talk to representatives and actually have some kind of influence. I completely agree that whatever, it's not a republic, it's not a democracy, it's an autocracy, an oligarchy, whatever we have now is completely out of whack.
Yeah.
And I always half-handedly tell people I'd rather be in a Christian monarchy tomorrow
No question.
than what we're doing here. Like you said, even a bad Christian king has some moral. There's two things that people don't get about monarchies. They think it's like all power because of films and storytelling has made kings into like terrible people.
Even Braveheart is garbage. Ultimately, I mean, people
Yeah.
love Braveheart, but even the worldview of Braveheart and the revisionism in it is like the whole thing about the king having the knight with the bride. That's made up.
Yeah.
That's Protestant disparagement. You can look into it. It's not real.
Mm.
So yeah, sorry, go ahead. It's a lot of that. People get their history from bad movies. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why movies are so important and books are so important, because that's how you translate stories and moralities to younger generations. And the idea is, when a king is, before they're king, when they're a prince and they're being brought up, they're being schooled in matters of politics, they're being schooled in matters of faith, they're being groomed in a positive sense, not the grooming we have today, but they're being groomed to take the responsibility. And what it is, they understand, hey, you are responsible for your kingdom, these are your people, you have this loyalty to them, and you must take care of them. Going back to Game of Thrones. Well, Game of Thrones, everybody wanted to be the king so they could do whatever they wanted and do all these other kinds of things. These people exist for my good, when it's in the opposite. And then you hear, and this ticks off so many like Americana people when you say, serfs actually, the people within the feudal systems, the lower part, the lower class, the serfs, the peasants, whatever you want to call them, they actually had probably a better life than you did. Yeah, they didn't have air conditioning and like running water, but as far as like their lifestyle was probably, it's kind of ironic that we have like the Catholic land movement, huge shout out, love the Catholic land movement, to essentially do what peasants and serfs did, which is work the land and be close to God and do all these other kinds of things. In the feudal system, that was life. That was life. So people are just, they're desperate for that kind of structure and order. I think really is the proper order, is the proper term that they're looking for.
They've been sold a bill of goods on capitalism, on democracy, on all these things that have actually been condemned to one extent or another by the church historically. And they buy into it completely. I can't imagine how most people, especially at this point in America, think that their lives have been enriched by rampant capitalism. I don't, but yet they will defend it to the nail to any challenges against it.
Enough. Because they're just comfortable enough.
They don't have so. Yeah.
They can get DoorDash to bring them food. They can sit down and they can have access to, think about it, they don't have to worry about food. Food can be delivered to them. Their entertainment to zombify them is right in front of them. You turn on the TV and you got 400 different streaming services, or you can turn on a PlayStation 5. And so you have, you have your video game, and this is not a condemnation. It's just, you have your entertainment, you have all your basic needs are essentially met.
Yeah, you're pacified.
So that's the best word. You're pacified in that regard. So that's why they defend it, because they don't know any other way, and they've been told every other way is bad.
Yeah, they don't want to struggle against anything. That's one of the greatest hurdles against converting people to Christianity and Catholicism. Also, in this modern era, is that it might mean that they have to change something about their life that they don't want to, or give up something about their life that they don't want to give up. It's not even so much about doctrine all the time. Fundamentally, it comes down to the fact of like, okay, well, I have to change this and I don't want to change this. Or I have to give this up. I don't want to give it up. And that becomes a real stumbling block.
Well, even look at modern Catholics. Let's look at Catholics.
Yeah.
How many times have I argued or looked at somebody that on a Friday, and we'll go to a restaurant, and I'll be like, hey, do you have like fish or like a grilled cheese or something like that? And they're like, why aren't you eating a burger, Rich? You love cheeseburger. I'm like, it's Friday. And they're like, but it's not Lent. I'm like, okay, never mind. You can't even, the American Catholic cannot even give up meat for whatever 30, I don't know, however many Fridays there are a year. They do it once. They do it one time a year, and it's very sad that we can't even, when you talk about changing, we can't even talk to people about, Ember Days, Chris. Hey, man, the
No,
Ember Days coming up. You got to fast. Oh, but it's Thursday. Okay, all right. You can't even give up eating. And believe me, folks, I love the eating. But that's something I struggle with, as most people who've watched any of my content know for a while. But the idea of even forget converting people, we can't even get Catholics within the fold to
no.
follow these types of things.
Well, this is a post hoc ergo propter hoc kind of problem because which came first. The church relaxes the disciplines, and then of course people want to just follow the path of least resistance. So okay, I don't have to give up meat on a Friday. The church says I'm not going to, but they leave off the part where it says you must substitute some other penance. People just say,
I don't have to.
oh, I don't have to not eat meat, but then they don't do anything else. At no point, even this milk toast post Vatican II hierarchy has never said definitively you can't just do nothing on Friday. The teaching has consistently been you must offer some form of penance on Friday. The easiest one to do is to give up the meat, but if you're not going to do that, you must do something. It says it's like the fine print, I guess. You must
It's the
substitution
star,
of a penance.
the
But people
asterisk at
don't
the
like,
bottom.
yeah, they don't like this. They don't like to see that part. So they just stop after it says you can eat meat on Friday.
Yeah.
But
And we're gonna have that fight on Friday, every Friday after Thanksgiving. There's always these people that are
oh,
like, I have leftover turkey. Can I
there's a
have it
dispensation. It's a
today?
myth. That's a
Can I
myth.
have? Yeah, no, you
Yeah,
can't have your leftover turkey on Friday. Suck it up, homie.
yeah, just
Have
wait
the
a day.
stuffing that you hate. That's your penance. Eat the stuffing.
Yeah, just wait one day. Like, good grief. Yeah, I do a show called Good Night Everybody. Thursdays at 8 o'clock, sometimes live, usually recorded these days on YouTube. It's just at Good Night Everybody. You can find me on X, but don't because I'm very grumpy on there, and I'm trying not to be on there. I would love for people to listen to my latest interview with Father Ripperger, which is all about a lot of these topics, and obviously at a intellectual level 1,000 times higher than I can put it at. We talk about video games, we talk about anime and manga, about AI, about cryptocurrency, and we get all of Father Ripperger's takes on that. Meaning, we get the traditional takes of the Catholic Church. That's the latest video on my YouTube. There we go. So I would love everybody to watch that and share it. And yeah, thank you for tuning into this, and thank you, Rick.
Of course, it's always a pleasure having you on, buddy. We'll talk again soon. All right, folks, that's it for this episode of the Barrett Breakdown. If you like what we're doing, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, do all the things that YouTube commands us to do. Hopefully, this will help share the show out. Thank you once again for Chris for hanging out with us. God bless everybody. We'll talk to you next time. And Viva Cristo Rey.
God bless.